Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to analyze the live price action for EU and DXY to see what opportunities there may be today. You're going to see my strategy and my analysis, so if you're interested in those then please stick around. So we're starting off here on the daily. As always, we have EU on the top, DXY on the bottom. What's the daily chart showing us? Well, yesterday we closed out as another bearish day, continuing our bearish trend and bearish momentum for the last couple of weeks. Bearing in mind our ultimate target is likely to be down here towards this draw on price, the order block with imbalance which was left behind in August, right? Same for our inverse DXY. Now at the moment, today so far, we're starting off bearish already. Nice and early, bearish momentum. We have gone below the previous daily low for sell side liquidity, and also this low here from back in August as a more major point of sell side liquidity in my opinion. Now continuing what I said yesterday, I do believe there is a possibility of a small pullback from this point here, just because I do see it as a bit of a major sell side liquidity point. It may cause some sort of minor pullback, even if it's just internally for today. I think it is a good point of sell side liquidity, especially with the previous daily low which was just above it. So two sources of sell side liquidity already today. Now if that don't happen, the draw on this may just overpower it and price continue bearish. However, just this morning now with that sell side liquidity taken, I would want to keep an eye out for those negatives if I did want to short, or if there was any long opportunities. Now that's just me from looking at the daily now. We'll see it more on a lower time frame. So far price has retracted a little bit since taking that liquidity, so we'll see that a lot closer on the lower time frames. Again, this is a big draw on price, and we have the same draw on price here on DXY. Now DXY has not taken out this high here where we have taken out this low. So far today we do have some more SMC divergence, right? So that would indicate some weakness, at least at this time on DXY. So we may get that small pullback. That's enough said for the daily. Let's go down to the 4 hour, see what that looks like a bit more closely. So here we are on the 4 hour, just zoomed out for the moment so we can see this price action, see the low that we've just taken out here, right? This past low from August, which is like an inducement for this area here. Okay, good source of sell side liquidity. Zooming back in on price here, what you can see is this current 4 hour candle now has swept that sell side liquidity and is pulling back. So the 4 hour candle obviously has the opportunity within the next hour and a half to close below, but at the moment is pulling back as more of a sell side liquidity sweep. So we can see where that previous daily low was here, and this X below was that August low. So we've taken that sell side liquidity there quite cleanly, and it is causing some bullish reaction. DXY at the moment isn't live. You will see on the 1 hour that would definitely have pulled back somewhat. You can see where we have pulled above these previous day highs. So we've got previous daily high and the previous day before that for buy side liquidity as well. Now as I mentioned, we definitely have SMC divergence because that buy side liquidity high is all the way up here. So that may signal some weakness. Where to pull back to, I'm not sure. It may just be to pull back further within this 4 hour candle. Again, the structure hasn't changed since yesterday. We've still got our lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, or just lower high all the way down here to lower low. This price action is quite corrective. Everything seems mitigated. Today, we took the buy side liquidity above these highs and closed this imbalance nearly completely. And then price was bearish from there. Now we've taken sell side liquidity and price has been bullish from there. So there's a lot going on internally. So I hope that's clear. You can see wicked up above these previous 4 hour highs into that imbalance. Price then went bearish, closing below to here, opened up and continued that bearish momentum until we took this sell side liquidity. You'll see that more cleanly on the 1 hour. So there's no confusion with the trend. We're still very bearish, right? The momentum's still on the bearish side, but we've taken plenty of sell side liquidity today. So we have to look out for that negative if we're trying to short, or it may be on side if there's an opportunity to go long. I think everything's clear, not much has changed. So let's go down to the 1 hour. Let's see what that looks like. So now we're on the 1 hour. What we can see is the 1 hour structure has closed below these lows. It did not close as a sweep, though obviously if we engulf here as a bullish candle, It's essentially the same thing, but I won't get too complicated on that. So yesterday we swept that buy side liquidity, you can see internally, and broke down, creating that lower low. Now overnight and into today we created our evening range, and into Asia, of course, it swept above some previous highs into that same fair value gap we saw on the 4 hour, right, which is also here on the 1 hour. And now we've broken down into today when London opened, a lot of bearish momentum. So we have a lower low, right? So essentially on the 1 hour we have this high to this new low here, right? So we have more of a premium up here, discount down here, though you may want to read the leg differently from up here to down here. But either way, this is a point where liquidity was swept this morning and price has broken down. DXY is the same. We took out sell side liquidity below this internal low and then went bullish into London, closing above these highs, right? I don't see this as a sweep. I still see the trend and momentum showing as price looks to be like it wants to head lower. We haven't had a massive bullish reaction and just created a higher high at this point in time. So I do see this trend continuing into this fair value gap imbalance on a higher time frame, ultimately down to this point here. So the trend is on side for shorts. We're just continuing making those lower lows, complex pullback, lower high, lower low, right? This is our evening Asia range. So my bias is definitely bearish at the moment, leaning towards taking shorts from somewhere within this leg here. We'll see what the price action looks like on the lower time frames. You can see we're pulling back. We're having a bit of a bullish reaction here from all this sell side liquidity, but I do like the way the hourly closed below all of these lows. Okay, so it doesn't give me the feeling like we're going to pull back aggressively any further. So that's what I'm reading from this price action. DXY is also pulling back. We may or may not leave an imbalance here. It does look like price is going to fill that. So I think the 1 hour is clear. I like that it's closed below, gives me a better bias. The 4 hour of course can still close out as a sweep, okay, which may indicate a further pullback, especially with this SMC divergence from this high up here to this high, but I'm favoring shorts. So I hope that's clear as to why. Any questions, let me know in the comments. So let's go down to the M15. Let's see what that looks like for any opportunities this morning. So on the M15, what I like now is the order flow is obviously on side. We have our Asia sort of range here, right? We had our evening into the overnight range there. Price came up, took the buy side liquidity above that high, continued bearish. Obviously the momentum mostly came into the market once London opened, right? You can see here we've swept some internal buy side liquidity. We'll see that a bit more clearly on the M5. I'll show you in a moment. Price has had a good momentum breakdown here, left a fair value gap and order block behind on the M15. We have a lower low break of structure around here. So in terms of strategy, we have momentum, order block with imbalance, a sweep of internal buy side liquidity, and then obviously earlier in Asia session we also had that buy side liquidity swept. Price eventually broke down into our kill zone, London Open, where we had that break of structure. Now we're pulling back fairly correctively and we have this imbalance with order block, right, for possible entry. Now the negatives are we have an order block above, a bit more into the premium, and I think there's a small imbalance there as well. That is a negative, so maybe in terms of a short, typically I'd want to just cover the order block high here. You get a nice small stop. Maybe safer to cover the Asia high here for maybe 9 pips, which isn't too bad either. Right, if you look, we've still got a ways to pull back on DXY. It has the same M15 order block, but it looks a bit further away. So what may happen is EU may pull back deeper, right? Or DXY may catch up or just mitigate a bit earlier and continue. Sometimes that can happen. But this to me is signs that we may just pull back a bit deeper into it. So you may need to cover the highs if you want to take this. I'm still debating where that stop loss would go and if this looks good enough for me. But where we've trend, we've taken buy side once and then twice internally. It could look better. We've got breaker structure, but we've taken sell side liquidity. But I like the way we closed below on the hourly. Right, so possible hourly premium if we use this high to this low. So if we go to the 5 minute, we can see that buy side liquidity sweep a lot better. Right, we had that internal low, came back, swept the buy side liquidity, and that's where we broke down with all that momentum into the London session. So I do think that looks good. I think that is the opportunity that I would probably look for this morning. We're getting that good pullback, and then you can target wherever your strategy targets. Mine would be 3%, something like this, right? So order block, imbalance, small sweep of internal buy side liquidity, causing that breakdown, break of structure with trend. Okay, and we have our draw on price ultimately below here, and buy side liquidity draw on price up here. Of course, there are negatives. Like I said, we've taken plenty of sell side liquidity this morning, so there's things to wait for if you wanted to mitigate some of these risks. So you may want to see if price comes up here, holds this, breaks down again, and then you can get involved on the second pullback to an order block, and then obviously trade that downwards. Okay, so order block here, wait for that continuation if you wanted to be safe. And if this doesn't happen, of course that means price may want to head for some more buy side liquidity, maybe above Asia's high, and then you wait for the breakdown there. So those would be the safer options. Of course, waiting for those, you may miss out on the trade completely if it doesn't pull back, right, which can happen, but it depends on your risk appetite. So that's what I'm looking at. I hope you gained value from that. I hope it was clear. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.